Urgent Commanders fan! Look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest Commanders news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Commanders rumors Washington urged to be most aggressive team in NFL draft. The Commanders need to strike while the iron is out. The Washington Commanders had a breakout year last season, making it all the way to the NFC Championship game. What was more impressive was that they did it with Jayden Daniels, a rookie quarterback in his first year in the league. The Commanders need to strike while the iron is hot, and that means making moves that will continue to help them improve. They've done so already in free agency, and now the next thing is to do so in the NFL draft, where they have the 29th pick in the first round. Around the league, people are hoping that the Commanders are aggressive in the draft so they can fill the holes that they need to in order to compete once again. If a highly rated receiver, offensive lineman, or defensive tackle does fall into the Commanders' lap, they should leap at the chance, ESPN's Ben Solak wrote. Again, adding high-impact, immediate contributors is the name of the game here. Trade up for falling players and take risks on guys with red flags on their eval, the sort of players who would have gone a round higher if not for injury history or poor production. Draft players you can envision starting and mattering in January football. Solak thinks that the Commanders should look at players such as Michael Williams, Shemar Stewart, or Donovan Ezeruaku if they want to improve their pass rush in the draft. If they're looking for safety help, Nick Emenwari and Malachi Starks were the choices that Solak thinks could be in the Commanders' range in the draft, but it may require them to trade up. What could the Commanders be looking for in the draft? There are many different directions the Commanders can go in when it comes to the NFL draft, and some think they could be looking for skill players, according to ESPN's John Keim. Washington would like to find a dynamic running back capable of playing on every down, Keim wrote. In the Commanders' past 11 games, including 3 games in the postseason, their running backs averaged 0 yards per carry or less 6 times. Subpar run blocking didn't help, but they need someone capable of creating more yards on the ground. Apart from quarterback Jayden Daniels, a speed receiver on the outside opposite Terry McLaurin remains an option too. The Commanders could either upgrade on offense and defense, and it would bode well for the team. As of now, it'll just be a wait-and-see approach on what they end up prioritizing. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Commanders news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks! Now let's get back to the news! Commanders trade rumor on Trey Hendrickson flips. To Major Turnett has been an expensive offseason for the Cincinnati Bengals, with much to celebrate there. The team broke the piggyback to keep happy their star wide receiver tandem of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, resulting in a cost of over $275 million between the 2 contract extensions. But left in the dust so far, anyway, is one more star. And if the Bengals can't figure out how to also keep happy their biggest defensive star, defensive end. Trey Hendrickson, maybe that's where the Washington Commanders can swoop in. Hendrickson has asked for a contract extension since the start of the offseason. He is currently slated for an over $18 million cap hit in the final year of his deal. And there is market-based logic now that makes it clear he can ask for $30 million per year or maybe even more. He was initially encouraged to seek out a trade. That didn't work. He's been involved in extension talks. That hasn't worked either, so now comes a major turn. Teams have called We Bet. That group includes Washington and GM Adam Peters. The Bengals have been steadfast in stating that they want first-round value for the veteran if they do deal him. But increasingly, there is the belief that the Bengals will be more and more inclined to budge as next week's NFL draft nears. Maybe that means management folds and pays the guy who gets a rather amazing 17.5 sacks per year. Or maybe it means management demonstrates a willingness to accept less than a premium pick package. Washington is shy on picks can only offer so much as a result of the Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel trades, but Washington isn't shy about being aggressive in talent grabs. And in the coming days, Hendrickson in a trade might be grabbable. DC Commanders close to 3B deal for new stadium at RFK Site D.C is close to a deal worth more than $3 billion to bring the Washington Commanders back to the district and build a new stadium at the RFK Stadium site. The deal isn't final as negotiations are ongoing, so the number could change, but multiple sources familiar with the deal told News 4 that Mayor Muriel Bowser and the Commanders have the framework for a deal in place that would see the team paying the vast majority of the costs to build a new stadium, and much of the money provided by the city going for infrastructure that will support the entire 180-acre development. The Commanders would put up as much as $2.5 billion, and the district would provide up to $850 million. Documents obtained by News4 show .dc. Its funding would go toward what are referred to as eligible capital costs associated with the stadium and infrastructure for the stadium and surrounding 180-acre campus, including parking structures that will serve the entire development. The district's investment would be paid in installments, with the first $500 million paid out between 2026 and 2030 for various portions of the work as the stadium and infrastructure are completed. The other $350 million would be paid in 2032 through taxes generated from the new development to cover costs of the stadium or stadium infrastructure. The final contribution by the team could be less than $2.5 billion. Sources familiar with the negotiations told News 4. The deal calls for the stadium and stadium parking to be completed by fall 2030. Commanders owner Josh Harris has been clear he wants a new stadium to be ready for the 2030 season. The mayor's office and the Commanders declined to comment to News 4 Wednesday. But at a press conference Monday, Bowser announced the 2026 budget is complete and ready to go to the DC. Council. If the mayor has a deal for a new stadium, it will have to be in the 2026 budget. The preliminary agreement News 4 obtained refers to the team as the master developer, meaning the team would not only build the stadium, but also develop the entire 180-acre campus, which the mayor and council members have said they want to be a mixed-use residential and retail development. One hurdle is the looming $410 million in budget cuts DC. Faces for the current fiscal year that were imposed by Congress. That must get resolved. Then the mayor can present her budget for fiscal year 2026, which needs to be approved by the DC. Council and Congress. Separate legislation ready to go to council would iron out development and use details for the site, including zoning. Zoning will be a big issue going forward. A group of residents wants a voter initiative on the ballot blocking a stadium by restricting what can be built on the site. Jalen Ramsey trade suggestion has him replacing former first round bust after it was reported and subsequently confirmed by the team's general manager, Chris Greer, that the Miami Dolphins were looking to mutually explore a potential trade for all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey. The NFL world went haywire trying to generate a new potential home for the former first-round pick. Amongst one of the more interesting destinations could be last season's surprise NFC runners-up, the Washington Commanders, who are looking to continue their ascension spearheaded by now second-year quarterback Jayden Daniels, thought a move that would likely see former, ironically, Miami Dolphins first-round pickback in 2020, Noah Igbinoghene, lose his spot as starting nickel corner on the Commanders' depth chart, which he is currently listed as on NFL Depth Chart Accumulator, RLADS. The Commanders are a trendy pick whenever a big-name player becomes available via trade, and with good reason. Pro Football Focus Gordon McGuinness writes, when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal who's already proven he can play, it's time to be aggressive. Jayden Daniels just delivered a 90.6 PFF grade as a rookie, the second-best mark ever by a first-year quarterback, and Washington looks ready to compete now. McGuinness also points to Washington's defensive scheme as a natural fit for the 7X Pro Bowler. A trade for Ramsey also makes sense schematically. He's been most effective in zone coverage, earning a 76.4 grade in those situations. But he has also held up well in man 70.0. Adding him would allow the Commanders to keep him on the outside while sliding second-year standout Mike Sainristil into a full-time slot role, upgrading the defense at 2 spots in one move. Whilst other sites have former New England Patriots corner Jonathan Jones as the outside corner opposite Marshawn Lattimore for Washington, Igbinoghene certainly has a punter's chance of making the starting lineup, particularly if Sainristil outperforms Jones on the exterior of the passing defense, keeping Igbinoghene to man the slot. Perhaps with Lattimore, Sainristil, Igbinoghene, and Jones, it may seem over the top to then also trade for Ramsey. But given Jones' age 31, Lattimore's recent performance decline, and Igbinoghene's shaky career toe date, Ramsey could give the Commanders a safe pair of hands with which to operate the heart of their secondary. A look at Commanders' roster ahead of NFL Draft. The Washington Commanders have already done plenty to refresh their roster for the 2025 season, from adding new players in free agency to retaining some of their own talent and making trades for premier players at their respective positions. But the Burgundy Gold still have work to do in order to repeat the success they had in 2024. And their next test will come next week during the NFL Draft. Here's a look at where the roster currently stands with 8 days until the 3-day event begins in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Offense quarterbacks for Jaden Daniels Marcus, Mariota Josh Johnson Sam. Hartman running backs 7 Brian Robinson Jr. Austin Eckler Jeremy McNichols Casimir Allen Demetric. Felton Michael Wiley Chris Rodriguez. Wide receivers 8 Terry McLaurin Debo Samuel Sr. Luke McCaffrey Michael Gallup K. J. Osborne, Chris Moore Mike, Strachan Noah Browntite, Ends, 7 Zach Ertz, John Bates Ben Sinot Colson, Yankoff Tyree, Jackson Cole, Turner Lawrence. Kager offensive linemen 13 Laramie Tunsil Nick, Allegretti Tyler, Biadas Brandon, Coleman Andre, Wiley Bobby Hartnate, Herbig Michael, Dieter Julian Good Jones Anam, Dankwa Trent Scott Chris, Paul Sam Cosme Foster, Sarel defensive line. 15 Daron Penjerdzan, Newton Krelin, Ferrell Javon, Kinlo Javonte, Jean Baptiste Dietrich Wise, Jr. Andre Jones Jr. Jacob Martin T.J. Maguranyanga Viliami Fehoko Jr. Dorance Armstrong, Norrell, Pollard, Jolene Holmes, Eddie, Goldman Sheldon. Day linebackers 5 Bobby, Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Dominic Hampton, Nick Bellore, Jordan, Maji defensive backs. 13 Mike Sainristil, Marshawn Lattimore, Will Harris, Noah, Igbinoghene Quen, Martin Keevan, Seymour, Jonathan Jones, Percy Butler, Bobby Price Allen, George Jeremy, Reeves, Tyler Owens, Ben Nickel. And now, Commanders fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Commanders. I'll be back any moment with more Commanders news. We want Dallas.